listening to Mothers in Arms podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Lopez, and this is episode 3, Childfree and Childless. Families look different from each other, even the ones that look very close alike. We all have gotten here on our own path, via our own vessel in different ways. I wanted to talk about what it took me to become a parent, being 1 in 6 people affected by infertility. There are many reasons why different females and males cannot biologically produce a child. Thanks to assisted reproductive technology, ART, we're able to create our families in various ways today. As an independent parent, it was a road less traveled by. I could not have stayed on this path if it wasn't for the support around me of my friends and family. But goodness, the whole decision to use science to make one's dreams come true is a challenge in and of itself. This year, you did not see on the ballot the possibility of a mandated insurance policy offering IVF health benefits to everyone in our country, although you did see a pro-choice option, and I worry about what other fertility rights will be seized from us next. It's important to know all the options available to anyone trying to grow their family, especially depending on what state you live in. Do you need to consider moving to a different state? Will you be traveling back and forth between states during this process? Does your current job offer any insurance benefits in this area? Maybe you want to consider a job that does. Just having the information, having the knowledge is being proactive because, as we know, not everyone can easily get pregnant or carry a child. In my case, I used a surrogate mother, aka Angel Mom, Mama M, to carry and care for my daughter Elise. And that process of matching together, start to birth, was almost 2 years. It takes a while. Using ART is definitely going to be a bumpy ride. You know, it's rarely smooth sailing. I'm not going to lie, and that's why I'm talking now. I can only speak for myself. I'm grateful I decided to do it and that I even had the possibility to choose that path. I wanted a safe space to rehash my experience and normalize women of color having challenges to have their families and even the challenges we face within the industry of assisted reproductive technology. We're taught for years to do all we can to stay away from sex and not get pregnant. When I was ready to, my body wasn't. Nor was my ex-husband's sperm at the time, but it's a longer story. I'll get into it for now. For now, thanks for listening. My priority wasn't me. I wasn't seeing myself as the headliner. I was very comfortable being the supporting actress to my husband's career and our life together with our 2 dogs, Frankie and Ginger. Frankie and Ginger became they were our children. We are RIP Frankie, and Ginger is still my daughter. I was allowing the lifestyle, I was allowing that to be the priority over taking the hard route down the assisted reproductive fertility route and all the unknowns that was going to bring and all the hard, it's a hard life, honestly. It's a hard life choice to do it. And I didn't really want to face it very much. It was easier to just ride, live the cards I was dealt with was what we would say. But not having those challenging conversations because of what I might have discovered, it wasn't exactly, what I should have been doing, just because I didn't want to have those conversations, out of sight, out of mind. It didn't prove to be a good thing for me. Not everyone should be a parent just because they can were words that became my mantra back then. And even today, it really has stayed with me. My empathy for people who are childless and not by choice is something I hope to pass on through with this podcast. I want to bring awareness to the way we talk to our friends, the way we include child-free couples in our social life and in relation to families. And it should come with giving those people the choice to be there or not. Child-free couples, child-free individuals should have the choice to step into or out of any type of family children-filled event. You just don't know that what makes people feel uncomfortable for it's reasons that you don't know and that they'd rather not get into with you. I was a friend of mine had to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday because her boyfriend's sister was having a 1 year birthday party and it was a 4 hour drive. So in order to be there at 10, right? Or whatever, something like this, but it was a 4 hour drive. And I could see in her body language, she was shifting, she was itching. She didn't want to go. She didn't want to go, but she didn't want to disappoint the boyfriend. And, it's this advice you want to give, and you also, it's none of your business. But she wasn't telling her boyfriend, you know what, go on without me. You know what, I don't want to be there. You know what? I mean, this wasn't a 20-year-old girl, and I feel like that's a lot of pressure we get, women in our 30s and 40s who are child free. It's this like, well, you're comfortable with this, right? You've chosen to be this way, right? So come on over to this 1 year old birthday party. I know it's silly that I get all fired up about it, but it should not be a given that we have to be there to support our men, to support our partners because of those family events coming up. I feel like we really should be aware that it might make someone uncomfortable because we don't know if a couple isn't having children because they can't or they don't want to. We don't know. And is it really your business to ask unless we come forward with it, right? So I'm telling you, don't ask, okay? Unless we tell you, don't ask. But if you do, want to be, if you do want to be supportive, which is where we need our friends and family to be, is supportive, then let's focus on that and let's try and find ways where you can be. What I meant about there's enough Lopez's in the world. I mean, I'm one of five siblings, right? My mother is one of 9 children. My dad is one of 7. This is normal in Latin culture. These, certainly from my generation and my parents' generation, these big families, in Catholic communities. And so, yeah, it's these like gaggles of family members where, I grew up, it was like, oh, we can't go to a restaurant because, you're put in the private dining room. You can't sit at a regular 4-top, 6-top, you got to have a menu. It's expensive. It's like a whole private event. So we ate at home, we definitely ate at home all the time. So eating at home was eat what's served in front of you. If it was canned peas and carrots, if it was, tortillas with butter and salt, whatever it was, we were fortunate where there was always protein. There was always enough to eat. There was never not enough, but you had to finish your plate because they worked hard for that. And it was important to not be disrespectful. They worked hard for that. So you had to eat what was given to you. And, as a kid, you don't always like this or that, and I actually love that my family's sort of a small group right now, because we can connect, we can talk, we can have conversations. I don't have to feel like I'm constantly hosting, like I'm getting interrupted. That's what I meant about having so many family members, that maybe it's better that maybe it was meant to be that I couldn't add to the group. Another reason why I wanted to talk about these things was because in the aftermath of losing Lena, our friends, our family, they really just didn't know what to say. And I mean, we've all find ourselves there when someone is grieving, we can't quite find the words. I mean, it's awkward, it's sad to talk about all around. I remember hearing stuff like, oh, God needed an angel. Just it wasn't meant to be for you. That didn't make me feel better. You know, some people would say, oh, you'll try again. You're young. Again, do you know what's going on inside? We didn't know. You don't know what's going on. That doesn't help. This came to me a lot. Is people say this, I still hear it. Oh, you'll get pregnant. And I guess it's true for some people. So I'm not trying to bash on this, but you hear, oh, you'll get pregnant when you least expect it. Just go travel, go have fun. Stop worrying about it. Stop, peeing on sticks when you're ovulating. Just go with the flow and you'll get pregnant. Not for me. Yeah, people also say you can always adopt. Yes, people can adopt, but it's a very complicated and expensive way of becoming a parent. So it's even, it's a lengthy process as well. It is not easier, and not everybody is approved. I know our friends and family meant well. They really did. We always do. You always do when you're trying to comfort someone in grief. But in my personal experience, I wanted people to just listen to me, to show their support by acknowledging the sadness, acknowledging the sadness of what had just gone down, acknowledging that I was going to be like this, and there was nothing that was going to cheer me up, and that's okay. I needed to sit there like that. You are born with all the eggs you'll ever have. My hope is that young women in their early 20s can pay attention to their bodies early on. Keep a journal of how long their period lasts, the side symptoms, anything. Write it down, the birth control that you're on. Check in with your OBGYN while your insurance is good. Your reproductive organs can be checked for cysts and fibroids. Your eggs are fresh. What are your options? Get the knowledge for your body and your future. As a Latina, it's cliche that we are naturally fertile myrtles, that infertility doesn't affect us. And so when it does, our culture shames us. I know for me, as a child of immigrant parents in my brown culture, I wasn't shown how to use a maxi pad, much less talk about what if I wasn't getting my period, or, what happens when you do get it? What are my options? What happens when it hurts like mad? I'm grateful for my cousins and my girlfriends who shed light on these topics. I couldn't bring them to my Catholic mom. Thank you for listening to Mothers in Arms. If you want to follow more on our stories, you can follow us on Instagram and TikTok at mothersinarms.pod. Thank you also, Dante Pascuzzo, fellow LACSA alumni and friend. You caught the drift off the bat. The Silver Lake Conservatory of Music is so lucky to have you.